Welcome to lesson 4. Go ahead and fill out the top portion of your math menu and then get going on your appetizer. All right, we are going to continue our growing on our knowledge with equivalent fractions. So go ahead and turn to main dish part 1 so we can get started. Off to the side of each visual model, I want you to write the fraction that is being shown. So for example, the very first tape diagram that's being shown is representing 1/2. The next fraction will be 2/4. Then we've got 3/6 and 4/8. And then it's asking us, are these fractions equivalent? Yeah. How do we know though? How do we know that 1/2, 2/4, 3/6, and 4/8 are all equivalent, meaning they have the same value? Yeah, just based off of the picture, the exact same amount of the tape diagram is filled in, so we can answer that in the question. Now I want you to look at the fractions actually put into an inequality statement. What are you noticing about 1/2 is equal to 2/4, 1/2 is equal to 3/6, 1/2 is equal to 4/8? What are you noticing about maybe like how we're getting to those fractions? Something that I'm noticing is that when I get from 1 to 2, I can create some type of rule. I could do +1 times 2, and then when I'm looking down at the denominator, I can't follow that same rule of +1, but I can follow that rule of times 2. So here's my rule, here's my rule. What do you think the rule is for this one? Yeah, this time it's times 3, which works for both the numerator and the denominator. Then our last one over here, we could put the rule as times 4, and the same rule works for the denominator. Instead of drawing out those visual models like you did in the last lesson, or looking at the visual models like we did at the top of this page, we can create equivalent fractions by multiplying it by 1, but what that turns into is the same rule for the top and the bottom. So this would be like saying times 2 out of 2, which we know is equal to 1 whole, but it's just in fraction form. So whatever we do to the top, we have to do to the bottom. So when creating equivalent fractions, you can multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number to make an equivalent fraction. Make sure you pause the video if you need to jot this definition down. We're going to do some practice with this today on the next page. You'll notice that we're able to cram together the main dish part 2 and the dessert. So we're going to work through the top 4 fractions, and it says create 2 equivalent fractions for the following fractions. So we've got 1/4. Whatever we want to multiply the numerator by, we just have to multiply the denominator by. So I'm going to start easy, and I'm going to do times 2. So if I have 1/4, I'm multiplying the numerator and the denominator both by 2, I would get 2/8. So there's 1. Maybe this time I want to do times 5. So I would get 5/20. No matter what, 2/8 and 5/20 are equivalent to 1/4. They are the same value. Notice we're multiplying it by 1. And when we multiply a number by 1, it doesn't change the value of the number. 100 times 1 is 100. 1/4 times 1 is 1/4. We're just changing that one whole into fraction form. So even though these numbers are different, they're still equal to that 1/4. Go ahead and do the same thing for 1/7, 1/3, and 1/10. You are getting the chance to multiply those numbers by anything you want, as long as you multiply the numerator and denominator by the same thing. I'm going to do some as an example, but we might have very different answers depending on how you chose to multiply. All right, and you're going to get to do the same thing for your dessert today. Good luck.